Today I want to share the second most important strategy that I'm using as I'm working through an injury that means I can't exercise how I like to normally exercise. And it's a really important thing that's actually taken me a while to develop, but it's meaning that I'm managing this time in a much healthier way in my life. Check it out. So a couple of weeks ago I did a video on my back injury that I've recently had, and unfortunately it's a pretty serious back injury, which means I'm not able to exercise how I like to normally exercise. And you know me, I love exercise. It's a big part of my identity, it's my career, there's a lot of components in my life that are based around exercise. And in that last video I talked about how in my time of working through this injury, my main strategy is to do as little damage as possible so that when I get back to normal, the road back's as easy as possible. Well, today I want to share another area that I've worked on probably in the last 10 years of my life that are really important in this moment in my life. So if you were to meet me at the age of 30, I was actually in some ways a bit of a broken person. Like if you took a step back and you know, if you looked on the outside, you probably thought, this guy's doing really well in life. Like I was killing off Les Mills, I was racing as a professional triathlete, I was doing all these amazing fitness endeavors. But if you'd taken a step back and looked at me as a person, I was very much a one-dimensional person. So I had one dimension in my life, which I was a rock star at, but then if you step back, I was kind of lacking in many other areas. And what was really interesting at this moment in time, I remember I broke up from my partner at the time, a girl called Annalise. And when I broke up, I realized I was actually a bit of a lonely person. I remember this day, I went around to my sister's house. We were having like a family birthday lunch or something. And I'm just sitting there with my family, and I just started crying. And I'm not that kind of person. I just don't break down and cry really. It's actually it's pretty rare that I will cry. And everyone, my family were really supportive, but everyone was like, "What's up, Bevan?" And it made me realize that in chasing amazing fitness goals, I'd neglected all the other areas of my life. And admittedly, I was in a bit of an emotional place at this moment because I'd just broken up from a partner. But also in that time, because I'd been so singular focused on fitness goals, I'd neglected a lot of the friendships in my life. And because I'd neglected a lot of my friendships in my life, and my time when my friends would be there for me, I didn't feel I could really look for their support because I hadn't been there for them in the last 5 or 6 years of my life because I've been chasing these amazing fitness goals. And this was a real defining moment in my life because as much as I looked at one area of my life and I thought, man, you're smashing this area of your life, I also realized that in many other areas of my life, I needed to do some work. And I like to call this concept of what are your esteem points. So at this moment in my life, my esteem point was exercise. I got all my self-esteem from exercise. And then if you look outside of that, I didn't really get much esteem from any other areas of my life. And so I'd almost created this dangerous place. And actually, if I think about where I am right now, like if I did the back injury that I have right now at around the age of 30, it would have been a massive threat to my life because exercise was my main esteem point. And if I took exercise away, who am I? Now, luckily for me at this time, I realized that I needed to create a shift in my life. And it was actually one of my main motivators for giving up Ironman triathlon. Like at this point, I just started to race as an entry-level pro. I was kind of going to that next level in my sport, but I realized my sport was not working for me. So I gave up Ironman triathlon and I realized I needed to develop other sides of myself. So at that time I started playing my piano, I started my running business, started putting more time and commitment into the friendships and the relationships in my life, and I started doing some learning in other areas of my life. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to develop this idea of I've got a few esteem points in my life. And as we fast forward to 10 to 15 years later, nowadays my esteem points still are exercise. I still love to exercise and I still love to exercise to an extremely high level. It is still my fitness career, but I also have business, I have my music, I have great relationships in my life, and I have some other endeavors around learning that are really giving me esteem points in my life. Now, why is this important in this moment in my life? Well, my back injury means that I'm not going to be able to exercise how I'd like to normally exercise in this moment. And because I've got other esteem points, there's two things that can happen. I get to redirect my energy to those other areas. So for example, at the moment with my piano, I'm trying to set a bit more time into my piano playing each day, which means I'm going to progress in an area that I really love in my life. It also means I can spend more time on relationships and, maybe even just developing some business things on the side as I'm working through this time. Now, it also means that I'm not desperate for exercise at this time. Because if I only had one esteem point and it was exercise, I'd probably make stupid choices because I couldn't let go of the thing that I need to let go of at this time. Now, as I'm talking about this, I want you to think about yourself. What are your esteem points in your life? What are the areas that give you a sense of inner confidence, of identity, of feeling good about yourself? And do you have only one? We see this a lot with people who work too much, is that they have a massive esteem point in their career, but then when you look outside of their career, they're often struggling in many areas. And what do? They do more of their career. And that's what I would have done when I was younger, just would do more exercise. So if you reflect and you're in this place where you only have one esteem point, maybe it's time for you to do a self-reflection and go, how can I develop myself in other areas of my life so that there's a few esteem points in your life? Now, obviously, this comes to the forefront of mind right now because obviously with my back injury, not being able to exercise as much as I want to, developing the work that I've done over the last 10, 15 years of my life is really paying dividends right now. But I think overall, as a person, it's really good to have lots of esteem points in your life, or at least a few that give you identity, that give you confidence, and give you esteem that is really good for you. So first of all, if you are a bit one-dimensional for your esteem points, maybe look at developing yourself in the other areas. And if you are already doing really well in this, massive high five to you, and keep evolving this process in your life. If you enjoy my pieces and you want to bring exercise into your life, you need to check out my book, I Will Make You Passionate About Exercise. This book is designed to be a step-by-step journey that teaches you the right lessons and experiences to guide bringing exercise into your life, not just for a moment, but where you get to the place where you have a long-term love of exercise. So you get fitter, you get healthier, you have great stress releases, and you feel amazing about yourself. This book has been hugely successful, getting to the top 10 in the world for health and fitness books. So if it's time for you to bring health and fitness into your life, go to Passion About Exercise, click on the link, go through the process, and you can be starting your journey of finding your love for exercise really soon.